Hi, my name is Terry, and you're watching Terry Tells the Story. Today, we're talking about the man who sold the Eiffel Tower twice. In the spring of 1925, a man sat in a luxury suite at the Hôtel de Carillon, one of the most prestigious addresses in Paris. On his desk was a forged government letterhead, and in his mind was an insane plan. By the end of the week, this man, a career criminal known as the Count, would convince one of the city's wealthiest scrap metal dealers that the French government was secretly planning to demolish the Eiffel Tower. And then he would sell it to him. But the real story isn't just about the sale, it's about why the victim never went to the police, and how the con man had the nerves of steel to return a month later and sell the tower a second time. This is the anatomy of the perfect scam. This is the story of Victor Lustig. To understand how anyone could believe that the Eiffel Tower was for sale, you have to understand the context of 1925. The tower was never meant to be permanent. Built for the 1889 World's Fair, it became an eyesore to many Parisians. A giant iron giraffe that was costing the city a fortune in repairs. The French economy was struggling after World War I, and public opinion was shifting. Rumors were actually swirling in the newspapers that the government was considering tearing it down because the upkeep was just too high. That's where Victor Lustig comes in. He wasn't a thug or a pickpocket. He was a confidence man in the truest sense. He spoke 5 languages and carried himself with the grace of an aristocrat and understood a fundamental truth about human nature. People see what they want to see. Lustig commissioned a high-quality forgery of a government seal and sent out urgent top-secret invitations to the 6 biggest scrap metal dealers in France. He didn't meet them in a back alley. He met them at the Hôtel de Carillon. By choosing a location associated with high-stakes diplomacy, he bypassed their skepticism. He told them a carefully crafted lie. The government cannot afford the tower. It's a national embarrassment. We're selling it for scrap. But the public would be outraged if they knew. This must be a secret tender. He watched the 6 men closely. He wasn't looking for the smartest man. He was looking for the most insecure one. And he found him in André Poisson. Poisson was a dealer who desperately wanted to make a name for himself in the Parisian business elite. So Poisson, buying the Eiffel Tower wasn't just a business deal. It was his ticket to the inner circle. Poisson had a wife, however, who was suspicious, and she asked all the right questions. Why is this so secretive? Why is it all happening so fast? Lustig sensed that the deal was slipping away, so he did something masterful. He scheduled another private meeting with Poisson and confessed that he was a poor government official who needed a little extra on the side to ensure that the bid went through. This was brilliant. By asking for a bribe, Lustig convinced Poisson that he was corrupt as opposed to a con man. In the mind of a cynical businessman, a corrupt government official is more believable than an honest one. Poisson felt like he was in control. He paid the bribe, paid for the tower, and Lustig disappeared to Austria with a suitcase full of money. Lustig waited for the news to break and for his home to be swarmed by police. But the news never came. André Poisson was so humiliated at being conned that he never reported the crime. He preferred to lose a fortune in silence rather than to become the laughingstock of France. Lustig, realizing he had gotten away with it, returned to Paris 1 month later. He gathered 6 new dealers and tried the exact same scam. This time, however, the victim went to the police. Lustig fled to America, where he would go on to scam Al Capone and eventually become the man who printed his own money as one of the most successful counterfeiters in U.S. history. He eventually was caught and sent to Alcatraz, and on his death certificate, it listed his profession as apprentice salesman, and the Eiffel Tower still stands today as a French symbol of endurance. So, the Spanish I'm going to be teaching you today is Debería haber escuchado a mi esposa. Debería haber escuchado a mi esposa. And what that means is, I should have listened to my wife. If you like this video or you learned something new, drop a like down below. If you have a topic that you'd like to see me cover, drop me a comment. And if you'd like to support this work that I do, there'll be a link to the Cash App in the description box below. We'll see you next time.